Unicorn TV is brought to you by Symmetria. Symmetria offers ongoing liquidity management to attract and retain the best talents. Give your team the benefit they desire and deserve and win the competition over talents with Symmetria.
And our next guest, the Elephant Brokerage, is an Israeli-owned global platform that operates as a secondary marketplace for private tech shares. Joining us now with more is Chaim Schiff, co-founder of the Elephant Brokerage. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So I wanted to talk to you about how the recent downturn in the public markets, which we've all heard about, has affected the secondary market for private companies.
So, like it affected the publicly traded companies, obviously it affected also the private companies, which is where the secondary market operates. And we saw in the beginning that there was just a pause. Investors were just sitting tight and not willing to discuss anything. It was a couple of quiet months, but then the players in the industry understood that there's a big shift here now from a market that was in a rally that everybody understood is going to come to an end, and now there are actually good opportunities to get into the cap table of great companies that you didn't have access to, definitely not at reasonable pricing and valuation levels, and all of a sudden there are opportunities to come in at reasonable valuations, large discounts into these companies, and you saw that they've become very active, and this is where we're at this point in time.
So, Lidar, I can disclose now that the Elephant has partnered with Symmetria to launch liquidity programs. And I wanted to ask you, Chaim, to use this stage to ask you, what is the shift that you see in the concept of companies' management of what is a secondary sale and the secondary the life cycle of the company?
Okay, it's two questions and I'll address them separately. First, companies understand now that they need to use the advantages of the secondary market to basically give solutions that previously they could handle through other channels. If they had oversubscription from investors in the primary round, they used secondary from employees, from early stage investors to provide access to more demand that came from the investors. At this point in time, investors are coming in the primary rounds. They want the money to go into the company and be used to working capital, not to give liquidity to employees that are going to make millions of dollars and enjoy the wealth. Now they want the company to use this for working capital. They understand also that the public market is closed. There aren't any IPOs that are going to happen anytime soon at the valuations that they're aiming for. So this solution that was available during the last couple of years kind of disappeared. They need to find a different solution to enable workers, employees, early investors to get a liquidity channel, and that's through the secondary sales. And now at the same time, and this is addressing the second part of your question, they want to control the process because they don't want to see shares out there going around to whoever wants to buy and whatever. They want to control who sells and how much, what is the valuations, because they don't want this at the end of the day to affect the valuations when they want to go and raise capital.
Control is the name of the game, yeah. And how do you deal from the buy side?
Before that, I want to complete one more, and this is regarding the collaboration between Elephant and Symmetria. Another, aspect of this that we're seeing is management of these companies. While they understand that they need to provide the solution, they don't want to be overoccupied with this and use too much management time. They're busy people as is dealing with this. So we at the Elephant see this as a very important aspect of these liquidity programs to ease the process in them as much as possible. And this is why we collaborate with Symmetria to bring in the technological solution for this. And basically, we handle the entire process for the company. You just set the parameters and you let us work.
And how do these liquidity programs promote sort of symmetry for all the stakeholders and such?
So we're trying to basically provide a win-win solution to everybody, because during the life cycle of the company, there's obviously different people involved in this with different interests. So if we're talking about the employees and the early investors, they're looking for liquidity solutions. They've been there for a while. They've created a great value for their shares, and they want liquidity, especially now that the public markets are no longer open because there's no IPOs. So they need some liquidity solution. The later stage investors, management of the company, they want to stay private. They have no interest in doing they can't do a secondary round. They're not going public. They don't want to go public at this time when the market is bad, when they're premature, they're not ready to be a public company. The secondary transactions buy them more time because it eases the pressure from the employees from early investors. It gives them, for HR retention, you have attracting talent, you want to bring them in. They got used to the idea that these shares are tradable. You can actually make money off of them. They need to show them how that happens. If it doesn't happen through a secondary round by the company, if it doesn't happen in an IPO, how does it happen? And this is where a secondary program led by the company, controlled by the company, I think is a win-win situation for everybody.
So as you said, control, the name of the game. Chaim, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.